Hello, Nelson Bright, and this is my production design course. By the end of this course, you will have a solid understanding of the principles and the techniques you will use in creating a cinematic immersive environment for film and television, and be able to chase a career in production design in any industry that you choose. I want us to go through this course together, not as a student and teacher relationship, but two people discovering a new world. Let's get started. Let's look at the history of production design. In the beginning, when movies were first made, there was silence. And silent movies relied a lot on production design in order to convey the story that the director was trying to express. And there was no sound or no synchronization of sound to help this storytelling. So it was imperative for production designers to build sets and costumes that communicated the feel and the mood and helped carry the audience along with the story. Then the industry progressed about the 1930s to the 1950s. That was the golden era of Hollywood, where Technicolor was introduced, and production designers now were able to even create more immersive environments. They were able to create higher aesthetics with the emergence of color, and they were even more necessary.
Golden age of Hollywood, a slew of historical epics led to some sets of epic proportions. There was Intolerance's Great Wall of Babylon, a 300-foot-tall colossus that cost nearly $2.5 million in 1916 dollars, and the Pharaoh's City from the Ten Commandments, Ben-Hur's Chariot Arena that took a year to carve from stone, or even the fall of the Roman Empire's Forum, the largest outdoor set ever built at the time. But if we're giving slots to the Roman Forum, Cleopatra's takes the cake.
Nothing like this has come into Rome since Romulus and Remus.
Allegedly twice the size of the original Forum and even more expensive, they eventually built the damn thing twice. Once in London and then again in Rome after the first one got ruined and Elizabeth Taylor got sick from the cold. Unfortunately, Rome was just as cold as London, and the whole production nearly bankrupted 20th Century Fox, but at least we got this awesome set out of it.
Very influential figures in the production design in the golden age era in Hollywood. After the war, in about the 1950s to 1970s, was the emergence of new technological feats and directors like Alfred Hitchcock, one of my personal favorites and mentor.
Quiet back there. Oh, I beg your pardon. Oh, good evening. We wanted to take you behind the scenes for a moment to show you how we make our films. All part of a team. I'm very proud of them, and they in turn... You know, I sometimes consider getting out of this business.
Stanley Kubrick, these people pushed the boundaries in terms of production design, using it in more creative ways, where the production design was also part of the storytelling. They played even stronger roles in the way the colors, in the way the set described the characters in the scene. And these notable figures emerged and took it to a whole new level. In the Nollywood industry, production design was basically characterized by very practical sets because of the low budget constraints that the industry was facing. It was mostly about performance and being able to deliver those engaging character performances. So production design wasn't really key. It was more about functional, practical sets and location scouting, making sure that the location was the production design, and the adding of little props. But that was basically 80s. The leap which Nollywood took or began to shine was from the 2000s, with the emergence of new filmmakers that were collaborating with international producers, with the Del York Film Academy, and the influx of this collaboration with local and international filmmakers brought about a new form of Nollywood that was gaining recognition and international acceptance. Visual cohesion. It is the responsibility of the production designer to ensure that there is visual cohesion throughout the film, making sure that the sets, the costumes, the makeup, everything is working together in harmony. It is a collaboration, a combination. It is a climax of all these different elements. When they visually connect, this is when a scene works. And it is the responsibility of the production designer to make sure that the hat is right, the costumes are right, and they also go with the sets. Being conscious of the colors, making sure that the key primary person that is the key of the scene. I'm not talking about the lead, the protagonist at this point. I'm talking about a part of the film where it could be a boy that is just telling someone something, and that boy at that point is the key, is the primary character of the scene. It is the responsibility of the production designer to make sure that the person stands out, his colors, his clothes that he's wearing stands out more than everybody else in order to draw attention to that particular detail or what the director is trying to achieve in that scene. Storytelling through design. It is the responsibility of the production designer to tell stories through design. If the character is lonely, if it's a marketplace, it should have those elements that convey it, and every element should help move the narrative forward in production design. Authenticity and realism. It is of most importance that the production design communicates the era or the time. If it's a futuristic film, if it's is a film made in the 1980s, it is important that the production design with colors and the proper research is being done to make sure that you convey realistically the time in which this film is set. Character-centric design. It is important to understand the characters in the film, and not only what they have on script, but to create a backstory of these characters to ensure that you understand them further. What school did the character go to? When did he graduate? What traumatic events had happened in the character's life? Is he from a polygamous home? Does he have military training? These help inform the choice of the character's space and what the character is going through at the time. It is important that the production design communicates this emotion. If, for example, the person is lonely, you want to communicate this either by excessiveness.
You made me shoot one of my boys in the back of the head!
Or minimalism, showing the emptiness of the space and just having the character in the middle and having all that space. So production design, sometimes less is more, but being able to be character centric is most important. That the film has a feel. Is she flamboyant? In her room as well, you should see that flamboyance. If he is egocentric, the character is egocentric, even if he's not such of a financially buoyant character, it is important that you show that flamboyance in the personality, in the production design. If he's a model driver, he probably has loudspeakers and lights all over his motorway, just to reflect the personality of the characters. The production design, being character-centric is very important. Understanding the character and reflecting the character in the choice of clothes and the environment the character would be in would help convey the stories to the audience more clearly. So a character walks in, a short man with a really big gun, This alone tells you about the character without him opening his mouth. Or he's a very slim character with a very tiny, slim cigarette on his mouth. So production design helps convey the message, and it's important to understand the character so you can do this best in ways that it would resonate with the audience and create that memorable experience. Being able to know the scale of the size of the saloon or the baking shop, it's important for production design to accurately communicate the scale. In terms of, if you were talking about a very wealthy owner of a hotel, it's important that the building that it is used in the scene at least has some of these elements, either through CGI you could use to complement through matte painting, or miniatures. Any way that you can find using the techniques availed to you to achieve this is very important. What works, what is functional. Instead of cutting a giant log of wood for a drum scene, it's more efficient to use a POP and have a sculptor create a POP version of it that can be assembled and disassembled. This would help cut the cost of logistics of moving this giant log of wood around, in opposed to moving an empty, really light POP that looks like a wood, and have the art team work on it and create the realism. So being aware of how to trick the eyes and still achieve your goal, it's the difference between a production designer and a production designer. So if you're interested in making your mark, if you're interested in having your visual voice being heard on screen, in creating those real theatrical experiences, it's important to stretch, work with welders, work with carpenters, plumbers in your spare time, see what they're doing. So it helps you expand your knowledge base and be able to borrow from different professions on how they achieve their little tricks in construction, and how you can implement this in film. Attention to detail. You have to be detailed as a production designer. You have to be. If there's an element, for example, inception, the item being used, when the director is trying to communicate time and the illusion of time, of how time works, what prop are you going to choose to reflect this? So it's important for a production designer. If there's an element like a chain that was given by the grandmother, what does this prop look like? Does it reflect the time in which such jewelry was available? The detail that you put in can make or break the film, because if the costume does not reflect the exact year of which era that you're communicating in your film, this would break the illusion. So no matter the performance that the actors bring on screen, you would have caused a disconnect, especially knowing that audiences come from different walks of life with different experiences. It is important and paramount for a production designer to be detailed and nail it exactly what it is that the director is communicating. Detail is very important. Color theory and symbolism. It is a very powerful tool, color, just as we are primordially trained to avoid red in nature. If you see a creature moving with a red head and the other one is black, you likely would run towards the one with black for safety, as the red signifies danger. We don't know why we think it's dangerous, but subconsciously man is programmed to be wary of anything with red. So knowing these primordial things, we also are programmed to feel things that are brown are solid, like the chair, the choice of my chair. It communicates stability. Maybe because trees are brown and we know that they are strong and firmly rooted and you can rest on them, you can jump on them, and to communicate that firmness. Understanding colors and how they work, the color psychology, is something a production designer must read and understand and constantly revise, so you can understand how you can use this in film. What's the villain looking like? Is the villain wearing white? Is the antagonist wearing white? Is the protagonist wearing black? Why are you making this choice of colors? Being able to use them in a way that you would stretch the bound of the stories. Is it a pink dress? Is it white for sincerity? Is it black to show some kind of mystery? Understanding colors and motives and symbolically using them. When they open the door, what kind of light comes in? This is the way a production designer thinks and works with the cinematographer in order to enhance the cinematic experience. What object is there when she walks in the house? She's not been around for 14 years. She finally returns back home. What does she look at? What's the color of this? Is this color reoccurring? What does the character what does this color mean to the character? If you could successfully, before in the beginning of the film, establish a color and use that color to attach to an emotion. Does it mean loneliness to her? And once you have made that connection as a production designer, you can reintroduce that color to invoke that emotion, because it's about connecting with the audience and invoking emotions. And once you've been able to establish that, you can reuse it over and over again. And once it's on screen, they know that, oh, she's feeling lonely, or it's something dangerous is about to happen. What about characters? The character's journey, the transformation of characters throughout the story. Does he start out looking not as wealthy, and at the end of the film he's fresh and cleaned out? How do you communicate this with color? How do you communicate this with motives? What does that mean to him? What does it mean in his village? What does it mean to him personally as a warrior? What does it signify? So it's important to attach and use colors to tell the story as a production designer. It makes the work easier and enables for better connection with the audience for a lovely cinematic experience.